Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm doing some recommendations for board games that I think are great for two players. My husband Sush and I both love board games, but we don't always have a board game group available, so sometimes we just want to play games, the two of us. So these are some games that we love to play, just the two of us, that I think are really great, and I hope if you like board games, you'll check these out. The first recommendation I have is a very simple one, which is Bananagrams. Bananagrams can play anywhere from 1 to 8 players, takes about 15 minutes to play, and is rated at 7 years or older. This game, I think, can be played in all sorts of ways. We like to play a version of it, which is kind of our own, that is a cooperative version. So this is basically like Scrabble tiles. They're just tiles with letters on them. It comes in a little banana-shaped bag, which is perfect for travel, by the way. We bring this with us on vacation sometimes. And the way that we like to play the game is we put all of the tiles face down, each take 20, and then we work together cooperatively to build up words. So kind of like you would in Scrabble or on a crossword where they link together. And we use up all of our tiles, and then each one of us will choose one additional letter that we have to then integrate into the board. We often will tear apart words and reform words as we go, and we just do one letter at a time until we've used all of the letters, and there's quite a few. So it actually is such a fun thing for us. We love coming up with words that we don't see as often. It's just a really fun game if you like words, and we like to play cooperatively, although you could definitely do this competitively where you split up the tiles and whoever uses up all of the tiles first wins, something like that, but we like to play together. Another cooperative game that I'd like to recommend is Exit the Game. This is basically like an escape room in a box. I don't know if you've ever been to an escape room, but it's basically you go with a group of people and you're locked into a room and there's a bunch of puzzles and you have to figure them out in order to get out of the room in time. I have done the in-person version as well, although I find that very stressful. I like the board game version much more. This is a 1 to 6 player game, although I think that you really shouldn't play it with more than 3 people. It just gets a little hard to kind of do it all together. But with 1 person or 2 people or even 3, it's great. So we play just the two of us a lot. There are many different versions of this game. Each one is its own puzzle. I'm going to recommend The Abandoned Cabin. That's the first one that we did, and I think it's a very good one. This is a 60 to 120 minute game, although you could take longer. Sometimes we take longer because we're slow at solving the puzzles, and it's rated at ages 12 plus, although I would say it's plenty complicated for people who are older. This is really, it's a clue-based game. It's a puzzle solving game, and it's very cooperative. You have all of these different puzzles that you have to solve, and you have to think very outside of the box for a lot of them, and you do time yourself. The thing I will mention about this is that each of these games is something like $10 to $15, but they are only playable once because it is sort of a clue solving game. So once you've solved the clues, you've solved it. Also, you end up many times destroying pieces of the game itself as part of the process of solving the clues. So it is something that's kind of a disposable game. So that is a little bit of an issue. It's not replayable, but they are so much fun, and we keep going through many of the different puzzle games. So we've bought quite a few of these, and we really enjoy playing them together. Next, I'd like to recommend Azul. This is something that you could replay as many times as you want. It is a 2 to 4 player game, but we really like it just with the two of us. It's excellent. It is a 30 to 45 minute play, and it is rated at ages 8 plus. This is all about strategy. So Azul is a beautiful game that is all about sort of building up a collection of tiles. So each person has their own board, and they're trying to fill it up with tiles of a certain color. So you're trying to get a certain number of whichever color tiles. And there's a lot of strategy in doing this because each round you're working on a shared resource of tiles, and so which ones you grab versus your opponent grabs is definitely going to affect the kind of points that each of you get. So this is very much a simple game in terms of the rules, but complex in terms of the strategy. So it's got a lot of replayability. We've played it a number of times and I still have not figured out what kind of strategy makes sense. So I think it's something that you could just play so many times, just the two of you, and have a ton of fun. Another game that I'd like to recommend is Citadels. This is a 2 to 8 player game, and I think it plays just as well at 2 players as it does at 8 players, which I can say about very few games. Usually they work better with smaller or larger, but this one I think works for both. It is a 20 to 60 minute game rated at ages 10 plus. I love this game. This is one of the first games that Sush and I would play a lot together as a pair, and then play with our friends as well. And what I found so interesting is that the dynamic changes completely. The way that the game plays changes completely depending on who you're playing it with. The basic premise of the game is that each person gets a character, and that character has a certain type of skill. So one is like a merchant who can get lots of extra money. One is an architect who can build lots of buildings. But each round you get a different character. And so every round you get some choices as to which character you're going to be based on what the availability is. And so every round is very interesting and very different. You can change your strategies. The fun thing about a 2-player game is that actually you play 2 characters each round. And I think that that makes it a lot of fun. It's really a building game. You're trying to collect a certain number of buildings for your city, for your citadel. And whoever, gets the correct number first, you tally up the points they can win. But I think that this game is, again, a lot about strategy. It's a pretty simple game, but it's also got some fun artwork and fun premise, and it just works really well for 2 people. And the last game I'd like to recommend is Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven is a 1 to 4 player game that is rated at ages 14 plus, and each scenario in the game takes about 60 to 120 minutes, although the game itself is actually a long-running Dungeons & Dragons campaign. So this is basically D&D in a box, where the game itself plays the Dungeon Master. It has all of the different scenarios, it has the storyline that is unfolding, but you get to kind of just enjoy it and play it with your characters. You have little figurines for the characters and lots of different setups for the scenarios that you're going to play and the monsters that you're fighting. It is so well done. However, this is a big game. This is not a game that you're going to do if you are just somebody who normally, plays apples to apples or Scrabble or something like this. This is a much more involved game, but it has so much playability. You can play this for a couple of years before you get through the whole storyline, and I really love how each scenario is a lot of fun. You have a lot of flexibility as to which scenario you go to next and how the story unfolds and how your characters develop. It's a really, really, really fun game. It's so well done, and it's something that if you are interested in playing Dungeons and Dragons, but you don't have that experience, you don't have somebody who can act as your dungeon master, or you can't commit to, doing a multi-year campaign with a group of people, you have this. And you can play it as one person as well, and I think that that would be totally fine, but I love playing this together with Sush. It's just so much fun. I will say that this is an expensive game, and it is enormous. Like, the box is so big. The box is like this big. It's quite large. But it's just a ton of fun. So if you're at all interested in Dungeons and Dragons, I think that this is a really cool game to play. Okay, so those are some of my recommendations for board games that I think are so fun to play with just 2 players. If you guys have played any of these games, or if you have any recommendations for me of games that you love for 2 players, go ahead and leave me a comment down below.